is to look at, not this slide, we've already seen these, I think. So this is really in this corner here. So uh, I'm can't, I mean, I don't exactly know how to go about doing this exactly, but these are the positions that I like pulled out of my head. Okay. So this is our number one task. We have a lot of things to do and a lot to take care of, but here's the number one task. Because what we're trying to do is we want enough room for anybody who wants to participate and join the team, give them an opportunity to do that. But at the same time, we have the specific positions written out, you know. So in the lower right-hand corner, these are the 5 most important positions, and I'm hoping that we can fill the position tonight. So as far as position number 1, the project director, I could volunteer for that. That's my specialty. But for the rest of it, you know, somebody who's going to be in charge of the technology. Now, the technology is divided into 3. I had such a great slide plan for this, but never mind. Into 3 branches. Okay, so we have the design, figuring out what the design is. So even though we have it, we have to do some fine tuning to it. The second thing is networking. We not as a skill that a lot of people in our club have, but it's extremely important, this networking, because we're like diving head into it. So there's that aspect of it. And then, of course, the financial part of it, because that is the you know the important one here. Hold on, I'm getting just a second. Hold on. Just a second. So there's this. So just make a picture of this for a second, and let me just show you a few other things to keep in mind here too. What's part of this to be digital? Oh, can you see? You can see my screen now, right? Or
Yes.
Yes.
yes, you can. Okay, very good. So we'll start there. Okay, if you hear the bell, do you hear that bell ring when it rings, or is that just on my end?
Just in your
It
end.
just
I wonder if seaman is really the best title for that.
Well, I thought the same thing. I mean, yeah, I know, especially we're the family, you know, whatever. But
Oh,
right,
that's like BARF, Benzie Area Radio Friends, or FARC, Farmington Area Repeater Team,
anyway.
which is so smart.
All right. Anyhow, so
Central United Network. I can't think of it.
so anyway, so like I said, and again, my apologies. My slides aren't finished, so we're gonna rough it out a little bit. But here's something that's new, and this is a big part of what we're doing. This is the Central Michigan Emergency Network. Now, working with Sean, right, with his group, because of course my first inclination is, well, where is this money coming from and who are the people giving it to us? But I researched the best I could, and I'm very happy. It makes a lot of sense. So it's from, the sale of the IP address block. So that's fine. And they seem like a normal organization. All right. So these are some of the links that are close by, but I'll tell you, and I didn't get a chance to update it. So if we were to join this network, according to the information I had at the time when I was doing this, these would be the 2 logical nodes to tap into. But I have since found, Sean told me at breakfast that no, we can hook into the hospital. So forget this Fenton thing. The Fenton thing doesn't work out anyway. So, and I'll show you why in a minute here. Well, you can see, the lakes are on this side, so you can see it's a low. And as we go west, you can see how the geography increases in height. Okay, here's where I am right now. And for some reason, N8REL is right there. I don't know. This was done about 5 or 6 years ago, this particular map, just to kind of show the idea. Here's what is this? Oh, oops. All right. Anyway, so you can see here from Oak Park to Fenton, forget it. It's not happening. And without putting up, so you can scratch that off, but that's fine. We'll go to the hospital instead. So we're setting up like an XY, and we can switch from one source to the other, like maybe once a week we switch to the A side to the B side. That way we always know things are up and running. Now, going to the Ann Arbor node, you can see how following that dotted line, you can see that we have a fighting chance. Let me put it that way. So we're the dart is right here. Let me get the super duper pointer. The dart is right where? Right here. Okay. So and the hospital is like over here somewhere, I think, like in this area. So that's a great link there. This is about 30 miles, and that's it's doable. It's doable. Uh, oh yeah, so here you can see along the way different, like this is that high spot, so that high spot is right there, and then you can see you can see how the expressways, the freeways are gouged out of there. So anyway, all right, so that's that, and this is just so I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. But let me just say one other thing, then we'll go back to the staffing because that's the most important issue here. I do want to say that it that we favor the 5.6 gigahertz band for this reason. You can see here part 15 and part 97. Well, we're part 97, okay, but we share a lot of it with the unlicensed Wi-Fi. But there is a section that is part 97 only. So this is the upper edge. So that's the frequency bandwidth we would have our links in, just so you know that. And then this is what is currently, and again, this apologies, this slide is a few years old, but these are some of the other nodes, and I don't really understand a lot of this, to be honest with you. So as we move along in this project, we'll all learn about it, and this is the idea of how uh, you know what do you call it? Not hub and spoke, the other one, the mesh network is set up like that. So that's all right. So that's what, oh, and just one other thing. So this is just shows how you could use regular Wi-Fi hardware, but we do have to modify it for the ham bands there. So that's what all that is there. And then just one other thing, crossing the goal line. This is what we what I my first of all, everything that's here is just here for the purposes of conversation, purposes of discussion. Okay. I am totally open to changing whatever needs to be changed, but we needed a starting point somewhere. So I just put this together. But here's just some of the things that we're trying to achieve in this with the new repeater and stuff like that. So reliable transmit receive coverage area. Well, that makes sense. Emergency power backup, which we have. The whole building is on emergency power backup because it's really it for health, for the medical machines and stuff. Remote monitoring and control, very important that we have this. I mean, this is what brings us into the digital age, is being able to log into the repeater from at home or forever from wherever you are and do whatever needs to be done. Then this idea of beaconing and station ID. Well, we have station ID now, but so that's another function that is one of the ideas. Digital crossband linking. Okay, well, that's what happens when we connect up the two repeaters together, because that's crossband linking, right? You're coming in on UHF and you're transmitting on VHF. Heavy duty cycle components. What that basically means is because we're running digital, back in the voice, well, of course, FM is different. So FM is continuous duty. So the whole point here is because digital is also continuous duty, we want to be able to do that, to have a high duty cycle. In other words, 100% duty cycle, basically, turning on all the time. Auxiliary in and out ports, of course, so we can add sensors and temperature and all sorts of telemetry from it. Audio recording and logging, very important. I do that here, but it's kind of a touch and go process. It's not always working the way I hope. Backup repeater redundancy. We need to have a real discussion about this. Like, let's say it does go down. What is our plan and what is our backup? I guess our backup's to flip over to the other repeater. I'm not entirely sure, but that is a conversation that needs to be had amongst the technical wizards here involved. Now, this other thing, this hybrid analog digital support. Listen, you've heard me say this 100 times. One of the most attractive things about the Dart is that it's analog. And because it's analog, everybody, no matter what type of handheld they have or mobile unit, whatever, everybody can do analog. So it's the one mode that's totally compatible. So it's important to have. And if there's anything that we learned from 9/11, and there's a lot that we learned, but one thing for sure is that everybody needs to be able to talk to everybody during an emergency. So so all that. And then finally, what's the last one? Oh, automated message playback. Well, we have that. I mean, that's crossing the goal line. And there's probably more things. If so, let me know. More than happy to fill those out. All right. So that's that. Hold on, I'm trying to move things around here a little bit because I got to jump. Let me just see what this is. What is this? Oh yeah, all right. So we just did that. It's just another version of that. Okay. So now I do need to just take a quick survey of everyone who's on this call because we need to figure out who. Oh, let me just show one other thing too before we do go back. So this I'm scrapping. Okay, this was the original calendar, but John brought up this whole thing about phased approach, which makes a ton of sense. It really does, because we don't have unlimited capability in terms of number of people. So to keep folks focused, I think it's a great idea. We'll do the antenna first, and then in the meantime, we'll follow it up with the repeater portion of it. Okay, so here are some people. I'm just making this up. These are people I know, and there's probably people in the club I don't know. Okay, and they're not on here, but it would seem to me, and I'm assuming that everybody on this call is in this picture here, and if you're not, it's because I just missed it. I didn't have a chance to go through this before and right now, but this is kind of the idea. But we do need a team right here. So now, Bob, you said you would look after the finances. You're good with that, right?
I sure am. Yeah.
Excellent.
Well,
Okay.
we want to make sure Andrew is involved for keeping the grant requirements, making sure that we're following the approved grant, whatever
Right.
it's called.
Well, we're going to have to move that around.
Maybe he can work with Bob and the finance, because that
Yeah,
keeps
yeah.
the money.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
there are some reporting requirements we have to
Yeah.
tend to. Yeah.
So, okay.
So
So
if Bob and Andrew work together, that's great.
and the parliamentarian, well, that's easy, right? And Hugh, can I assume that you're interested in working on this job, right?
Yeah, we had a conversation about that one. At this point, if it's going to help, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, because there's going to be so many, what do you call it, things going on at the same time, and we want to make sure that we're adhering to the terms of the contract, adhering to the terms of the protocol, to the, what do you call it, the technical outline and stuff like that. All right, so we have that now. And the public relations, I don't know. I mean, it's important, but do we have any volunteers?
I'll do that, Joe.
Excellent, excellent, Mike. And Mike, I also have you scratched in for something else too, by the way.
Which Mike?
Oh,
Me, I put my hand up.
right here. So the come on. The green checks just mean that I sent the never mind, that's just for my notes. But archives. Here's one of the things, Mike. Keeping track of all the documents and the print, all this kind of stuff. Is that something maybe you can help us organize as well?
Sure. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, I
Good.
can find a place to put it on our website and store stuff on our site.
Excellent. Okay, then that'd be great. And that way everybody can access it and so on and so forth.
And
Okay.
there's no concern about privacy within our members, right?
Well, I
I mean,
mean,
I can post stuff so that anybody that's a member that has access to the membership portal can go in and look at, well, what does the contract say?
right. Well, I was a little bit surprised reading the contract. It's like a one pager and it's wide open. I mean, it's not like any contract I've seen, but it's pretty generous in terms of uh interpreting it. So but anyway, so we do need, and by the way, Andrew just joined us, I think. Andrew, are you there? Well, he just logged on, so he's if he's not here, he's very close to being
He's
here.
coming in.
So all right, so this is so there we have that. Now the other thing is, so in terms of the technology here, so um what do we do with that? That's a good question. The technical manager. This is based on my experience, which may or may not fit in this scenario. A lot of things that, you do things one way when you're working for a company and another way when you're working for a nonprofit. So, but that's what all this sort of came from. And the other positions here are for opportunities for the club members to participate and sign up. The one place where we're really lacking, and it falls under technology, is networking. If you or somebody who's a networking person, not only is it important for this particular function, for this project, but it's also important for going on into the future because that's what we're building.
Or at the VHF site.
All
Then
right.
we go to the
Mike,
next step.
please.
Oh, I've been telling you this for 3 months now. I'm
Okay.
working on replacing the antenna.
Don't,
Getting
Mike,
price.
just stop. Let's talk about this.
Contacted
Let's take
a
this
two-way
offline.
radio shop already. They
Let's
want to do a site walk. So
Mike,
what?
please, I'm asking you to please, let's stop right here, okay? You and I, let's take this offline, okay? Because we got other people on here and we got other things to talk about, all right? This offline, okay? Because we got other people on here and we got other things to talk about, all right?
Well, this is why I'm here. We've made some progress. I've contacted a two-way radio shop, and they're interested in coming up with a plan to replace the antenna, feed line, and all that. That was the priority. That's the
But
priority right now.
That's not our process. Our process is this, is we have a plan, okay? We submit three different vendors. We submit the plan and let them quote off of a piece of paper
Well, I've got
of
one
exactly
vendor.
what we're doing. Okay, can we take this offline, please? Please. We've got a
Well,
lot of
call
other
me when
stuff.
you get off.
Okay. Okay, so all right. God, we got that. All right. So what I'm interested in here right now is getting these positions filled. And it sounds
I'll
like
take
we
the
have
project director's spot.
at least the five, we have the five people willing. And the other thing we have to look into is insurance. And I'll talk to Bob about this and so on. What is sensible in terms of, it's $27,000. I mean, who's going to sign, we have to have some assurances that if there's another lockdown or theft or whatever it is. So we need to be protected. So that needs to be sorted out. we're also need to come up with what is the best method for ordering hardware. Okay. In other words, the purchasing, the submitting of all of the requisitions have to go through one common uh, 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 a person or two or whatever, but someone who's overseeing what we're doing there, which is a combination of the technology that's required and the finances that it takes to acquire that technology. So that's an important system that we uh, uh, have to work on. And of course, shipping and receiving, it's a little bit easier now that Len, and thank you, Len, for stepping forward and offering your garage as a perfect, a place to have stuff shipped to, and it's secure and all that. So that's a good thing. Then finally, the inventory aspect of it, in terms of, do we get inventory tags? We should tag the equipment with an inventory tag so that it's part of the grant, so we know what equipment was purchased, there. So there's all that aspect. What else? Well, the documentation, that's pretty self-explanatory. We have the ideas before, then we have the actual construction, approved for construction drawings, and then the library. When everything's constructed, we want to have something put away, so that future generations can go back and refer to it. So that's there. And then the legal thing. I'm just wondering, Bob, is there an attorney that works for the club, or what do we do about that? Do you know offhand?
The last attorney we actually had that I knew about was, and if he's still a member, as far as I know, is Jim Bloom, W8DPM. He was
Yeah.
one of my vice presidents a couple of years I was president. He and I know that because he actually gave the bylaw rewrite a once over to make sure it was legally sound.
Right, right.
So maybe
So
maybe try reaching out to him and see if he's got some bandwidth for it.
yeah, I did. So he's
Joe, we
married.
have some insurance. Shouldn't you go with the same carrier and find out?
Yeah, that's why. So yeah, of course. So we just want to make sure that we're covered should the unexpected happen. I don't know. It's just all right.
I wondered too, Joe, if we could, you've said we want phase one, which would be the VHF site, I believe.
Yes,
So maybe we should have a planning group for that,
yes.
phase one planning.
I would agree. So
Okay.
so
Right.
what
And
I
get
would
Mike
volunteer to
involved
lead
in
that.
what day did we say we're meeting? Did we say Monday?
Yes.
Ugh. Okay. All right, we can make that happen. So I'll set up a series of meeting notes for that, okay? And I mean you know what I mean, appointments. Send out an invite. That's what we'll do. All right. At this moment, I don't really have anything more. And again, I apologize for being a little bit oriented here. I just interesting last
So
24 hours going on here. Yes, go ahead.
are you going to appoint the positions, or are we going to have a consensus about these different positions you have there? Like Micah seems to be eager to jump in there and get the phase one going. Is there
Yeah.
objections to Mike doing it?
Mike
Wait.
who?
Which Mike?
Well, guy waving his hand there.
Mike,
Yeah,
Not
okay.
me.
Not me.
not
All right,
Mike,
sorry, we got three mics. I know.
not that Mike, but this Mike.
That's
I
what
mean,
call signs are
I'm
for.
trying to get things going here, and I'd like to help. So
Well, but we got to stick to a.
With
Oh, wait,
can
yeah,
I
they
ask
do.
a question, Joe?
Yes, please go ahead.
With the grant,
Yes.
maybe this is a question for Andrew. What
Gone.
is it covering? Is it updating everything? Is it a new repeater? Is it a new tower? Is it building a building? Is it an
You need
antenna?
a copy of the
What is
grant,
it?
Mike. It's spelled out in the grant. You should see.
There's about 25 items that are mentioned specifically. Now, the way the contract is written, they're not too picky, apparently. I mean, it's all it ever says in the contract is what it says. It says, and I'm loosely quoting them, for those types of questions, refer to the proposal. You know what I mean? So, um, does that answer your question? What was your question
How do I
again?
get a copy of the grant?
You have one.
I'm working on it.
Can you send it to him?
Yeah.
Is that what you're
Hey,
doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't think
trying
I
to
have a
find-
copy of it.
Everybody should have a copy of the grant.
They don't.
They don't. That's my fault, and I apologize. Okay.
I thought it was
Everybody,
emailed or something.
Yeah, you sent us the grant before. Mike,
Oh.
I can send you one.
I'm just looking for
Thank
Mike's
you.
address is all.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll do.
All right, one other thing.
Now, I don't remember if I have the proposal, the whole original proposal. So what I have doesn't have the list of all the stuff.
I'll
I
do
want
it.
the, I don't want
John,
the
John has it
proposal.
because John sent it to
I
John.
want the actual grant.
All right.
Yeah,
You'll
I
be
sent
able
it to Mike. It's on your way.
Outstanding. Thank you, John.
All right,
Great.
one other thing.
Yes, go
If
ahead.
we're gonna have some small groups being formed, like the BHF and all that, if you want to have a Zoom meeting and you want it recorded, or even if you don't want it recorded, doesn't matter. I can set it up for you in very short notice. If
Okay.
you want to have a Zoom meeting. You know,
Yeah,
whatever you want, I can do for as far as Zoom and YouTube and
great. Thank
whatever you
you.
want.
Because, that stuff is so important because, when you go back to start writing notes, it's like, wait a minute, did I hear that right? And it's good to be able to go back and get exactly what's said. That's
Now, like this meeting will be on YouTube, but if you have a small group of like 4 or 5 people and you
Yeah.
just want to have a private meeting and you just want it on Zoom, it doesn't
Okay.
have to go on YouTube.
No,
You know,
no,
just-
a lot of it
It's,
should.
it's
Yeah,
only if you want, if those 4 or 5 people want it on YouTube or don't
Sure.
care, then I can do that. Or if they just want to have a little get together, a little chat session, there's no
Right.
reason to put that on YouTube.
right, right. Exactly,
But they can still use Zoom all they want.
Okay, yeah, good. All right. A lot to absorb here. So let me, I like writing things out. That's my thing. So let me summarize what we have here, um, and we'll move on. So, yeah, okay. Does anybody have any other questions? If not, I'm going to say goodnight for now, and then
I just other than Joe,
Get
please give
caught
me
up.
a call after this meeting so we
Uh,
can.
I
so
will.
I
I don't
can-
have I just got out of a 4-hour car drive.
Oh,
Talk
okay.
quickly, but can we talk tomorrow? That would be then I'm settled and calm and
Okay, call me tomorrow.
yeah. If we could do that,
Because-
thank you. I
Okay,
appreciate it.
Here's what I did. I contacted the company that has the 2 repeaters up at the site. You've been mentioning for months now,
Yeah.
so I did it.
Okay.
They are interested in quoting, the replacement parts that I mentioned. They, and I can forward you the emails. They would like to do a site tour. Obviously, you want to do a site tour to see what's up there and what needs to be done.
Right.
So that's one out of the 3 two-way radio shop quotes.
Right.
So now I also looked at Arcom, but that's not on the list.
Okay.
So I'm not going to do that.
What? What do you mean? It's not on the
Arcom
list?
is the repeater controller company. They also sell Telwave, the antennas, the duplexers, all the other parts that we would need. But I'm going to set that aside and just concentrate on this one company. Once I get a price, then I'll go to another one if we have 2 more shops in the area. So that way we can keep that rolling.
But let's talk about what we're doing before we do it, and not after. Okay, so that everybody's
Okay.
yeah. It works out better that way. That way everyone knows what's going on. So
Does everybody else have a problem with that?
what's
I
that?
mean, you know, I'm just trying to get this project moving.
Yeah, well, we have to move in a synchronized
Now
manner.
we
There's-
have a time frame that we have to get this done.
It's the end of the year, so we've
End of
got
the year, no more
we're
money.
fine. All right,
So
we'll talk
call me
about it
when
later.
you can tomorrow, please.
Excellent. Okay, I'll call you in the morning. All right. Does anybody else have anything else? If not, I'll say good night. Thank you, everybody, for being here and signing up. We'll move ahead and we'll get we'll take it to the next step then. Sounds like we got a real good group here, dedicated people. All right. Well, thanks again. Take care, 73s, and we'll see you. I'll have a summary here out in the morning, okay? And we'll get it to everybody. You could read through it, make sure. And don't be afraid to respond, okay? Good and bad. Just respond when I need feedback. Thank you. Good night, and see you later.
Be well, everybody.